This is Chaitanya. Hope you remember me. Last time I have taken one session. So today actually we are planning to take some basic Terraform templates with Google Cloud, because why we have decided to take this session basically to make more acquainted with Google Cloud, because if you see the market trend now, many companies are moving to Google Cloud. I mean, it is the market share is keep on increasing Google Cloud. And coming about the session, as you guys are aware of, this session is completely arranged by sorry. Yeah, so the session is arranged by Scholar IT Solution. So if you see actually one of the best IT service provider which is there in US. One second, please. Just give me a minute, please. People as enroll for the training. I mean, for the sessions, I thought about let us take how much I can do. Okay. Coming to session again, it is organized by Scholar IT Solution, which is it is efficiency across US, and it is one of the best company which giving free online sessions and helping people to make their technology robust or make their efficiency by adding new technologies and all. So this, and you can get our website from Facebook, from LinkedIn and all. Okay, so coming to the session again, I want to go through a little bit of basics basically, where I want to take you through what is Terraform, why it is coming through, and where we can do some more work in terms of automating the things basically. Now, if you think about typical IT industry or IT companies, so their infrastructure is keep on increasing. It is keep on increasing like anything, right? So to manage the infrastructure day by day, it will be very difficult. When I'm talking about manage, what exactly I'm going to manage? Manage means I have to have my VMs, I have to have my network securities, I have to have my users, groups. There are many things which can be managed in the server level, basically server or VM level. Now, if you think about server, the servers mostly one of the strategy which companies are doing now, migration. Basically, they are migrating projects, migrating project from on-prem to cloud servers. Basically, cloud. When I'm talking about cloud, there are multiple cloud vendors out there. Right? So they are migrating as per their company's preferences, cost effectiveness. They are moving the migrating the servers or the applications from on-prem to cloud. Now one of the typical cloud vendors are Amazon is one of the leading one, right? Amazon. Then we talk about Azure. So these are the mostly three mostly market players in completely IT industry or IT infrastructure based applications, which will be providing whatever you are looking for, right? Whatever you are looking for as part of your project or project development or setup. So they are giving everything on the fly. On the fly means whenever I'm looking for, I should get my infrastructure. Now, when I'm talking about, you might have heard about some other things or other cloud vendors are there. You can talk about Oracle Cloud. We can talk about DigitalOcean. There are many cloud vendors are available. There are some private clouds are there, like Infosys, Azure, Polycloud. There are many cloud vendors are there, right? So based on the cloud vendors, there is something called a DigitalOcean. So there are many cloud vendors are there, which you can take your infrastructure, take their cloud services. When I'm talking about their cloud services, what is the cloud services basically? And these cloud services is broadly categorized. And these cloud services, or you can talk about, these are the managed services, right? Managed services means whatever you are looking, whatever you are looking for this, for do your work to develop your project, then build the project, then deploy the project, at the end manage the project. So everything you can get from these cloud vendors mostly. And as I said, these are the mostly market player in terms of cloud across the industry. So now let's assume I want to develop my application. Now I am to build my application. Where I will be building my application? I'll be building my application in the servers, basically, in the VMs basically. So when I'm talking about server, I have to build one server first. I have to provision one server first, right? So when I'm talking about provisioning the server, so who is going to provision the server? If you think about typical IT companies or IT, any IT companies, so they will have their, IT systems, or there are multiple terminologies are there, IT system or help desk, IT help desk. So which will be providing the VMs. So basically it depends. The terminology will be varying from company to company. So these people will provide the required VM, whatever you are looking for your project. So they will be basically providing your VMs for your projects. Now, if it is 1 or 2 VM or 3 VM or 10 or 15 VMs, that is fair enough. These people will provide it, and we can raise a ticket, and based on the ticket, based on the approval, we will be getting the VMs. Now, what will happen whenever I want the VM, I should get the VM on the fly. So who is going to give that? That will be provided. You can see, we can provision the VMs, right? And you can provision the VMs anytime. So to provision the VMs, what you have to do, basically each and every, I'm talking about cloud-based infrastructure. I'm not talking about, on-prem servers, because now if you think about on-prem servers, things, it's going away. I mean, nobody is looking for on-prem servers. Even though if you have on-prem data centers, I hope people are out of 5 people are moving to cloud. Any thoughts? Anybody wants to bring something? Why people are moving from on-prem to cloud? Any idea why companies are moving from on-prem to cloud infrastructure? What is the advantage they're getting if they're moving on-prem to cloud? Or it is the trend, because of that they're moving, or anything else? Any thoughts, guys? Please. Let us the session be interactive. Sorry?
Yeah, it's a cost reduction.
Okay. Anything? Anything else? Anybody?
No headache for data center, no headache for storage, no headache for server range.
Basically, data center, you don't want to have no data center, right? The concept of no data center.
Yes,
right?
correct.
So,
no maintenance worries.
Yes. So, if you talk about data center, actually, I don't know whether anybody involved on the migration project and cost, cost analysis. Anybody involved out of these guys who were available in the training session today? I mean, session. Yeah, whatever you said. Anything else? Okay. Let us take the points. Then we'll discuss about this. Any other
security improvement.
Okay. Then
and increase collaboration and flexibility.
Can you elaborate this?
Yeah, flexibility. We can provision any instance or any machine within 1 or 2 minutes.
Okay, then you can talk about this is flexibility of getting the VMs, right?
Correct,
how much
correct,
yeah. Whatever VMs you are looking at, flexibility basically, right? Anything else?
Yeah, and loss prevention and disaster recovery.
Very good. So this is one of the things here company are looking for. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Durability. Somebody was saying that. Yeah, that is also there. Okay. Anything
Yeah,
else?
sustainability we can also include.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. So what will happen? So this is one of the biggest thing in terms of data center. So maintaining a data center, it is you cannot say it is going more cost. I can say the cost wise it is less, but maintenance is very difficult to have a data center maintenance. It is very difficult. Now, again, you are coming to DR. Now, even though if you are talking about cost, DR of, if you are taking DR consideration in as part of your cost reduction, actually it is very less. And anybody, if somebody is working directly to any of the cloud vendors or any of the cloud infrastructure, they will see, each and every service. Now, whenever I'm talking about migration projects or I'm talking about any cloud, if you see any service, whatever you are using, so that is chargeable. So you should move to the cloud if you have enough automations are in place, or else if you talk about your cost wise, you won't be getting any cost benefits as part of your moving to your on-prem servers to cloud servers. You have to have, suppose let's assume, let me take a scenario. In my organization, let's assume I have 1,000 VMs. Okay. Can you please mute if you're not talking? Yeah. Let's assume I have 1,000 VMs, right? So, and 1,000 VMs, out of the 1,000 VMs, let's assume that RAM. Basically, the cost, if you talk about it, is mostly the computing part, right? RAM. So I have 400 gigs, RAM. 4,000 gigs RAM for the 1,000 VMs. Now, if I am going to move as it is the same infrastructure to my cloud, the data center cost, whatever I am paying here, if you are moving to the cloud, definitely it will 2 times more. Why? The reason behind is when I'm going to cloud, I am talking about a single VM. I am talking about single server. So when I'm talking about server, is that server cost is enough? No. Along with the server, you have to think about lot of things. You have to talk about storage. You have to talk about network security. You have to talk about, VPCs, everything. You have to talk about static IPs. So all these things will be included. Whenever you are talking about any VM, there are a lot of side services or managed services are included in your VMs. So that cost, if you are coming to or you are accounting into that cost, it is really big. But why people are adopting day by day? Because even though they are taking it, they can automate something so that their cost reduction will decrease like anything. So if you talk about cloud infrastructure, obviously you have to think about doing automation of your cloud infrastructure. Only when you will be getting reduced price or your cost will be reduction if you are automating few things or managing the automation or managing your cloud infrastructure through some automation. Now, coming to provision the VMs. Now, when we're talking about any server, so basically we have to ask, you have to create the VMs. The main intention why they're using it. So we should give feasibility, we should give an accessibility to the end user to create the VMs. So I am an end user, like we are connecting to your Google Cloud account or AWS Cloud account, AWS or any Azure Cloud. So they have given end user, what you are going to do? You are just going to your console and you are creating the VMs, right? So this creating the VMs, you have to do maybe another minimum 10 steps, correct? To create a VM, at least if you are going through a console, why at least you have to do 10 different steps to create a VM, correct? Now, let's assume you are creating 100 VMs. You have to change 100 times. You have to go to the console 100 times. You have to give all the parameters and input parameters one by one after the other. Now, these creation of the VMs, they want to automate. Now, again, when I'm talking about creating the VMs, there are a lot of things you need to take care. First thing is let's assume we are talking about network, right? What are the things? Suppose I'm creating a VM. What are the things I have to looking at? I have to take care. to create any VM, what are the things I have to basically look into? Any thoughts?
Network,
So, yeah,
storage,
network. Yes, very good.
storage, operating system.
That is one of the most important thing. Okay. Anything?
No, I think that's fine. And availability also.
CPU
Availability.
memory.
Yes, that is what is the
Hardware.
main thing. Memory. Yeah, hardware is also it is there. So minimum few things we require to create a VM. Means while you are creating one VM in our console, cloud console. So these are the things definitely we have to select, right? And how to access it. So all the things you have to select one after the other, or one after the other. Once you created the VM, then you will be able to access. So this part creating, see, end user don't know. If you think about actually end user perspective, let's say I am buying a laptop. So what exactly I'm looking for? I'm just only looking for what is my hard disk, what is my operating system, what is a memory. Only mostly these 2-3 things I used to concentrate, right? So if I can give an option to the developer or the end user, not the developer, or the end user or the project user. Okay, but you enter these 3 things. This is your net. Then you are good. So what will happen once the end user or project team or anybody who is looking for the VM, end user basically, they should only give these 3 things. They'll be creating one ticket. Basically, I was last week I was working or talking to one guy who is working in one of the biggest Indian company, and his end client is Dell. Okay, so they are creating some automation. They will be giving the end user to create a ServiceNow ticket. I hope people are aware of ServiceNow. Is here like Jira? Okay. So what they're doing? So once they will enter these values, they will be telling, okay, I want an VM and one VM with operating system. Let's say Windows 2012. Then memory is 500 gig, and I know operating system is Windows 10. Basically 3 things. RAM. What is the RAM? So once that will they have entered the created ticket. These ServiceNow or this ticketing tool trigger one build in that is AWS console. AWS console means AWS, it is something in the cloud. Ansible AWS console is a browser based solution which is given by AWS. Inside that they are calling Terraform script. So what is happening now? The feasibility of giving wider access to the end user instead of you are involving on that to creating the VMs, giving this VM and so on. Of course, while they're doing the ticket, they will have all set of approvals, cost center, whatever the company is following up, right? So they should able to, for the end user perspective, they'll be just entering this values. So what they'll do, these parameters will be picked up by your ServiceNow or your Snow ticket or ServiceNow ticket or Jira ticket, and those values will be passed through some automation. Those values will be passed through automation. So this automation will be running internal SAM script. I'm talking about SAM script. Why I'm telling SAM scripts? There are multiple ways you can provision the VMs. No, means I should not go to the browser or go to the console UI. I should able to create the VMs with the required parameters. Of course, when you talk about your organization, reflect the network securities or VPCs, and basically network, all things will be taken care. If you are creating, let's assume you might have heard of something in VPC, right? What is VPC basically? Again, it is a private cloud, right? So if I'm a company, I'm taking some infrastructure from my cloud vendor, let's say AWS or Google Cloud or Azure. So definitely they will be giving a private cloud for me, so that whenever I'm creating VM, it will by default it will go to that. So few parameters will be entering, rest of the things will be taken care by the code. So now when you're coming to infrastructure, huge infrastructure, thousands of servers. So that case, managing the infrastructure, it will be really tedious things. Creating the VMs, updating the VMs, shut down the VMs, start up the VMs. So everything provision the VMs, it will be very difficult. So to avoid this, and again, we are talking about infrastructure as code, right? So what it is basically, now all these activities, whatever we are talking about, selecting the VM, selecting the structure, everything that can be go as a code. Then how to go with the code? So we can do multiple ways. We can create multiple ways this infrastructure, right? So one of the efficient way to creating the VMs is Terraform. What are the other ways you can create the VMs? Any thoughts, please? Not only the VM, many people have some mindset like this Terraform scripts or Ansible scripts or CloudFormation template and all. It is very specific to the provision the VM. No. Through this tool, you can do whatever you want in the cloud. You can create S3 bucket, anything. So what are the things you can basically create ECS, everything, whatever you are looking for, you can do through Terraform or any, basically see many APIs. So something might be coming. This can I can do some through Ansible also, right? I can create the VM through Ansible. Then why I require Terraform, right? But that APIs which are given by the Terraform is huge. And automation part perspective, let's assume I'm talking about security. So security one of the biggest So to avoid this, what I have to use Terraform Vault. So this Vault is in something called as security management. How you can manage your security. Now coming to this again, coming to so the main advantage is why they are going with using Terraform, because there are a lot of APIs which are available to create the VMs. Not only VMs, any infrastructure related services or managed services, what you can do you can think about, you can do through the Terraform template or Terraform templates. So, and another advantage is why you are using Terraform, basically you can fit same template. Now if you talk about, see, every cloud, they have given their own template to create VMs or create their infrastructure. So now let's assume today I am working on AWS, right? So tomorrow I'm changing my company, or my cloud vendor is changing to, let's assume, Google Cloud. So what I have to do, I have written my infrastructure as a code in CloudFormation template, right? Now once it is done, so what I'm going to do, I'm moving to GCP. So will this CloudFormation template will work in GCP? No. Now this template, means whatever work I have done it here, it is done in here. Now let's say my company is again moving to Azure or IBM Cloud or DigitalOcean. Any cloud vendor, they are changing it. Now writing so whatever templates, what are the code which I have written here, obviously it is not going to work out. So what I have to do? So I have to come to a generic solution which will fit to all the cloud vendors. So you can, means you should have a generic solution, and this generic solution is going to fit to all your cloud vendors. Clear? So there are two approaches basically I can talk about. One is the generic solution of the code or infrastructure as a code, whatever you have written, that can fit all the cloud vendors. What you have to change, basically you have to change the provider and some APIs. Not like you have to completely discard all the templates, whatever you have created for a previous cloud vendor or the previous cloud vendor, you have to change completely. It is not like that. You have to change only few things. Clear till now, Suresh? Yeah, any questions, please? No? Okay. Now,
Yes, Chaitanya, I have one question.
Please.
Suma. What is the difference between CloudFormation template and Terraform?
See, this CloudFormation template is very specific to AWS.
Okay.
So cloud
Okay.
formation template is very specific to AWS. But if you talk about Terraform, it can be, you can go with Terraform. You can take, Terraform. If you're writing a see, work-wise same. Suppose I'm written one template for creating a VM. The template is going to create a VM in AWS. But even though here I'm going to write a Terraform template, that is also going to create one VM in my AWS. But the problem here is these Terraform template. So I have created a VM also for AWS. Now today I am going to change my vendor to AWS to get charging to GCP. Now the template, whatever I have written here, the code or whatever the cloud formation template I have written here, now it is going to be, it is not going to work out in GCP. So we have to write again. GCP supported some templates, GCP template. You have to go and work with that template. To avoid that, basically, see now what people are thinking code reusability. Maybe you might have heard about this terminology, code reusability. So what is basically? So you should write the code once and you can use multiple ways. That's what people are looking for. So now, if I'm writing a Terraform template for AWS, that should match with GCP and Azure or any cloud vendor also. Yes, but it is not very straightforward like it will be matching 100%. In any case, it is false. The code, whatever code you have written in Terraform templates, it is not going to directly match in the AWS or GCP, Azure, any cloud vendor. It is not. But the match case, it will be around 80%. So this 20%, instead of writing everything from the scratch, in this case, you have to modify 20% of the code, and 80% of the code you can reuse whatever you have written for AWS if you are moving to GCP or any cloud. Is that clear?
Yeah. Yes, Chaitanya. Thank you.
Yeah. So now, how basically this, basically again, if you think about any and who is basically providing this, this is open source actually. Terraform is basically developed by HashiCorp, right? HashiCorp. So these people has given this templates or given this infrastructure as code, and again it is open source. You can use whenever you want, but obviously if you think about the organization level, they won't go for the see, then open source is for a namesake for you and me. But if you think about organization, nothing is open source. You have to buy a license. Anything you talk about. You are talking about last week I was working with one guy. Nexus. Nexus, everybody know it is open source, right? Nexus is open source for OSS, which has very limited functionalities. But if you talk about your organization, you cannot use Nexus OSS because there are a lot of security breaches are there. To do your R&D or I am doing some R&D, then Nexus OSS is fine. But if you talk about your organization, you have to go for a professional. And again, professional also there are multiple things are there. Similarly, in HashiCorp or Terraform also it is like that. The basic functionalities and basic features are free, but if you go for professional, you'll be getting more features like I'm talking about Vault. I'm talking about there are many things are there which will be paid one. In the organization level, if you think about, they'll be going with HashiCorp Enterprise version, not the free one. Okay. Now, how basically Terraform architecture, how it is going to work out? There are nothing much more commands in terms of Terraform. This is very simple. 3 or 4 commands are there. Okay. So how it is going to work out? Now let's assume I am the user. I am going to write or I'm going to use these Terraform templates, right? I have written, somebody has written the Terraform template. I'm going to work with Jenkins or any tool. I am going to use this or I'm going to call this user. So how it is going to work out? So what will happen? So the end install Terraform. Once you install Terraform, so it is something called as your Terraform core. Terraform core. So what is Terraform core means? It will give the basic APIs functionality. In that main.tf file, I have written some commands. Let's assume I'm talking about resource, I'm talking about provider. So whenever I'm talking about provider in the main.tf file, obviously what it will go? It will go to the Terraform core. Like you can talk about, like you are talking about client server architecture, you can talk about Docker. So Docker in the central, you have the Docker engine. So you are calling the CLI commands. That CLI command will go on from the Docker engine. So similarly, in Terraform core, you are going to, what are the modules or what are the things you have written in the main.tf file or any TF file, that is going to call your Terraform core module or Terraform core. So now this Terraform core module, what it do? So based on the commands, whatever you have written, basically the commands you have written, some commands or you have written some resources, basically what you want to do. So you have written some resources or some commands I can talk about. It's not, I cannot say it's a command, basically some resources, whatever you have mentioned here. So it will, through the Terraform core, it is going to execute and it is going to provision, basically it is going to provision whatever the resources you are looking for here. It will provision these resources. Means what it will do, you are going to write some files, TF files, all the commands are all the, this is something Terraform modules you can talk about, resources. This Terraform resources is going to call the Terraform core, and the Terraform core is going to provision the VM. So internally, one thing many people used to miss. Okay, so what is another thing? There is something in Terraform state file. So this is very important. Many people might have not sure about this. Terraform gives you a lot of options actually. So what it will do? It will store the state of that execution. So whatever the commands, whatever the resources you have written, so it will be storing it in one state file. So it will be storing one file called tf.statefile. .tf_state_file. So this TF state file, it will store all the states or all the executions, whatever you have written. I was working with one guy. So each execution, suppose one execution, I have created a VM, it is provisioned a VM. Now next time I want to, I don't know what exactly happened to the execution. So whatever things you are executing here, it will be storing in the Terraform state file. So what those companies, that company are doing, so this tf.state file, they used to store in AWS because they are cloud vendors for AWS. They are storing in AWS S3 bucket. So they are storing in AWS S3 bucket. So this is what, so whenever it is required, you can go to the previous state and you can, suppose by mistake you have created a VM or destroyed a VM. You can go to the previous state and you can check what is the state file you have. From the state file, again you can roll back. This is something called a rollback strategy, can be used in terms of AWS, TF state file. So this is one very much important thing. Many people ignoring it, but this is what we are doing. Unless until somebody is core, working very deeply in Terraform, these state files are not required. But yes, if you talk about production environment and all, definitely you require you have to maintain, you have to talk about, you have to think about how to store the tf.state file programmatically. So what they have done, basically they have written some script lambda function here. Once the execution has happened, then this tf.state file will be storing in AWS S3 with, if you remember or anybody working in S3, there is an option make version. So each and every execution, it will create a version and clear this thing. Yep. Guys, can I go ahead? Now, coming to installation, how to install Terraform basically. So the installation steps, guys, many time, people are thinking it is actually easy, but how to go to installation. So if you see, I would suggest everybody, don't need to remember things. Just go through the documents which is given by Terraform people or the specific vendor, whatever, whichever or which one you are working. So just do it, Google it. See, I can write the steps. I have the steps handy, but again, I want you should people know some real flavors how things used to work. So what I want to do today only, I was doing some work with the steps which is given by Terraform. You have to think differently. Anybody, any point of time have done Terraform installation? Yep. Can you please help me? So there are again Terraform installations are very straightforward. Anybody have done it? Can you please let me know? So let me do one thing. Let me create one VM. Okay. So let me create one VM. Let us do an installation. Okay, so let me create one instant call as Terraform. Okay, I'll go with the default one. Just go with let's say it should be fine. Let me go with okay. Let me go with the Linux inbox. Why I'm telling to take a Linux because to think about organization you have to go with a Linux only. Okay, that should be fine. Linux 7. Select it. Let me allow all the HTTP traffic. Create it. You guys maybe some people might have worked on AWS, and AWS the approach is very straightforward. What you have to do, you have to give your private and secret key, and you can go and provision the VMs as required. But if you talk about Google Cloud, there is a little bit changes here. Okay, there is little bit changes here. What you have to do? Okay, let me connect to this VM. Let us do a installation first in terms of Terraform. Okay, let me, by the time it is opening, let me go through the Terraform installation steps in directly which Terraform people has given. Okay, now let me go with GCP. Forget about GCP installation is doesn't matter whether it's GCP or any cloud vendor, right? So, yeah. So, what it is giving, take the appropriate package. Now, these are the packages which you have available. You just check which package you are looking for. Okay. Now you can go and check what are the packages are available. Oh, sorry. Yeah, you are going with a Linux 64-bit. So let me copy the link address. So what I'll do, let me mkdir okay. So what I'll do, I'll just give wget it will take 1 minute. So what I'm trying to tell you, if you see the installation stage, what they're taking, take the appropriate package and zip that as a zip package, then unzip it, unpack it to the binary name Terraform, and any other files or packages are safely removed. Terraform will be still function. There is no problem. So only what you require Terraform single binary, which you can run it. Now, if you follow the steps, so what they're telling, wherever you are downloading that package, in my case, so what you have to do, you have to move this Terraform file basically to the user local bin. Will it work? So how to get rid of this type of issue? Basically, so by default, it will take the user local bin, but many cases the installation directories will be different. So if you are moving here, what will happen? It will understood the executable is present in the system level. So what you have to do, you have to see whether something is there inside the user bin. Now, if it is not, you have to change this directory. It is not, see, you can follow the steps, but don't follow the steps blindly. Okay, so you can get this one, and second one is you can just do a class path setup. Without doing this also, you can do a class path setup, right? So how to do a class path setup for Terraform? Any thoughts? Anybody? Hello? Chetan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
So how to do a class path? See, if you remember the class path setup, see, class path setup is mandatory for all. So
Yes.
wherever, whatever the software, what are the packages, class path setup is must. See, this is indirectly we are moving the executable inside the system's default executable path. That is one way. Now another way you have to do a class path setup. Let me install yum update wget. Sorry, yum install wget, or maybe let me do one call -o, then I can download this one. Yes, I got the Terraform. So what it is telling? They are telling unzip it. Unzip is not found. Okay, that's fine. Yum install. Yes. Now, if you see this Terraform actually the executable. If I'm going to run Terraform module, I can able to get it. Terraform. Let's type in version. I get the Terraform version. Oh, sorry, Terraform command is not found. Why it is not found? Because this Terraform is not directly inside the executable or not in the class path setup. So if you go to this steps whatever given by this Terraform people, before going to this, just check whether these executables are present here or not. Right? LL, there is no executable. Now actually the executable is present inside this. Yeah, that is another way you can do it, but you cannot do all the time, right? Whenever we're doing it, again, if you're going for a different terminal, that won't work. So if you see, all the executables are here. Now, if I am following the steps, so what I have to do, I have to copy. Basically, what I'll do, instead of move, let me do a copy. cp, I'll do user local bin. Sorry. So these are the basic things, guys. Okay. So if I'm going to give Terraform version, will it work? It will. Because actual executable is not present here. So what I have to do, instead of this, I'll just copy inside. Yep. Now give Terraform version. Now you got the Terraform version, whatever you are looking at. This is one way to do it. Now, what is the other way to do the same? You have to, somebody was telling export path, right? That is also you can do it. Let me see what is the command he has given. Yep, very good. Yeah, Shiva. This is another way you can do it. You can export this path in your profile file or bash.rc file. So this is the basic things, guys. This has to be, just try it out. So another way, you can open the bash.rc file. What you have to do now, this is my path, right? So what I can do, I can go to cd, okay, just ls-la, you can get this bash.rc file. So what you have to do, you have to edit bash.rc file, you can import that. Okay, what you have to do, you have to insert, you have to export that one also. This is another way. What you have to do, you have to copy the path where you have kept it. Yeah, you have to just export the path wherever you have kept it. Now what you have to do, you have to change the path wherever you have currently your file is available. Let me do one thing. Okay, where I have this one. Okay, so my path is I think this is my path. Just change wherever you have kept your executable. Okay. Now what you can do, you can remove just rm-rf. What you have to remove, you have to give for user bin Terraform. So remove this now. Now what you have to do, you have done the class path setup. Obviously it won't work here. You have to open a different terminal to make it work. Because the same terminal it won't work, you have to change the terminal itself. It's very time taking here. Yeah. Okay, so what I'm doing here, just give me, let me write Terraform version. Yes, I got the Terraform version. So these are two different ways you can do a class path setup. Another way also you can do on the runtime. Also you can export the path wherever you want to. I mean, basically that, but that will be very specific to the terminal. Now what we are going to do, we are going to write some code, right? So we'll be cd. So what we have to do, basically Terraform will be working you have to write the TF file first, but before doing it, you have to give with multiple you have to give the credentials. So in terms of AWS, what people used to do, they used to have their secret key and access key, right? Secret key and access key. Now here the concept is little bit different in terms of AWS. Sorry, Google Cloud. What you have to do, you have to get the credentials. Where to get the credentials? You have to go to APIs, services. You have to go to the credentials. From the credentials, all the credential details will be downloaded as a JSON file. So these credentials you have to download it, right? These credentials you have to download for this, and that credential you can use in your Terraform file. So basically you have to write one main.tf file. In that main.tf file, or see, basically again there will be multiple structures can be done. Basically, if you want to do some basic things, what you have to do, you have to get the credentials file, and that credential file you can use as part of your, you can give a reference to that. Again, now coming to these Terraform models, they have just give a search again, Terraform with Google Cloud. GCP. Okay, so this directly again you can just follow the steps which given by these Terraform people. Okay, so go through this, you will be getting the basic steps. So if you see here, see these steps they have given. What is the provider? You should have one main.tf file, and what is the provider? Google provider. So what exactly you want to use a component engine. Just copy whatever they are given as it is. You just go with the values whatever they have given, but there is again that file you have to give either through the code level, or else you can directly give a reference where you basically you have to export that one in your CLI. Wherever you are running your Terraform, you have to export that path basically. Let me go to other one. Okay, if you see here, basically I have written some code here. Okay, so I have written some code. GCP, so the code is exactly, if you see, I have copied from there only. I didn't write anything on my own. I just copied these files from the Terraform template. If you see main.tf file, okay. So if you copy this content and copy this content from here, so if you see the content which is given here, it is exactly same. Just copy this part. I've just copied from here only. Okay, so the code wise it is exactly same. So what you have to do, there are two things you have to do. One thing is you have to give the credentials.json file. What you have to do, the credentials file. Let me create another credentials here. Okay, just create new credential, service account. Okay, just let me give one name. Okay, I'm giving this create. Now what you have to do, you have to give a role. Basically you have to select a role. So you have to give something service admin. One minute, let me make it done. So this role is very much required. Okay, see this role, while you are creating this one, this is the one which I have given, right? Permission check. So you have to give some access. What type of access you are looking for? So it will be service admin. So that you can do. Oh, sorry, it will be owner. One minute, let me delete it. Something I missed there. Let me create a new credential, service account. Okay, so create, select a role. Here you have to create a role called as owner. It is not allowed actually, but for this, because if you talk about the organization level, there are a lot of things you have to think about, like AWS, it is a full access. Basically, there are multiple accesses, administrator access. So let me give that full access, grant access, then done. So once you create it, what you can do, this is the one which I have created. So you can download the key. If you see there is no, go to this account. Okay. Service accounts. So you have to download the key. Okay, this is the one which I have created now, right? So here what you have to, there is no key. Just you can see manage keys, add key, download the key as a JSON file. Okay, if you see if this key is getting downloaded here. Now I can use this key, and again it's a JSON format. If you open it, you will get lot of things related to your account. So this will be changing from application to application, account to account inside the GCP also. So same thing I have done it here. If you see the code, what I have done, this is one is something which I have given here. Google Cloud, this is the provider, and here I am going to give the credential. Inside I have already one key is there available. So this is the path where I have kept my credential, right? Now where I want to do, this is my project ID. If you go to my Google Cloud account, I have the project ID in place here. Home, you can get the project ID. So that, sorry, here it is the project ID. So this is the project ID. How many projects, which project you are going to create a VM, because this will be changing from project to project. So this is the project ID. Now what are you going to do? What exactly you are going to do? You are going to create a VM, right? The default is, see, this is the resource again. So this resource, it will be must. This module you have to get from Terraform. You cannot just take any place. So rest of the things you can give these right side values you can change. There is no problem. But left side is must. So out of these parameters, some are mandatory parameters, some are optional parameters. But whatever I have taken, this is mandatory parameters. What you have to do, you have the credential. Without credential, you cannot do it. And what is the provider you are doing? If in case AWS, you have to go with AWS. If it is Azure, you have to give Azure, and so on, right? And there the concept, it will be same. It will be, you have to give the project name, and you have to give the private key and public key. And these are the region basically. Which region you have to create the VMs. Region and zone, there are two things. Now that instance where I'm going to create, what is the name of the instance? Let's assume I'm talking about my instance name called as Terraform. Any name you can give based on it should be very specific to the project. Okay, so I'm going to give a project. What type of instance it is? F1 micro. This you will be getting from these Google Cloud type of instances, like AWS. You have T2 micro, T2 sorry, M3 large, X3 large, and all. Similarly, if it will be starting with M1, N1, and all, right? F1 micro means it's the minimum one. What is the zone? These are the mandatory parameters, guys. So these parameters, without these parameters, you cannot go. Now coming to default. So if you go to any VMs which is created here, there is something called as default. If you see, means it will take the default network, means that VPCs which you were talking about, right? So if you check any VM, if you go to any VM, so you can see the network. There is something called the default network. So see, this is a default network. If you have your own network settings, VPCs and all, you can attach that. But that also you can create. What you can do basically, you can create the network first, then that network you can attach to this VM. That modules and all, it is already available in network. Maybe when next time when we're going for a advanced version of the Terraform, we can do that. Okay. Now what I'm going to do it here. Yes, the network. Then what type of image I'm going to do? I'm going to do the Debian or Linux and all. Okay, and the different network and access the rest of the things. I'm just keeping as it is, right? So if you guys know, there are basically 4 different commands they used to run, right? In terms of Terraform, right? But one is Terraform init, Terraform plan, then Terraform apply, and another is the Terraform destroy. What these commands will do basically, and why, how to give, I mean, what exactly it is going to do. So when you are talking about Terraform init, so what it will do? So it will basically, without Terraform init, you cannot run other commands. One time at least you have to run the Terraform init. What it will do, it will download the required libraries for the vendor which you are going to work on. Which vendor you are going to work for this? You are going to use Terraform init. Then plan means what are the steps? These are the steps which I have written here in the main.tf file. Whatever I have written, so it will go each and every module or resources, whatever it is mentioned here, and it will check whether you are following the standards. Like if you remember in Ansible, what you used to, you was going to give syntax check. This is exactly similar to the syntax check, whether everything is going fine or not, and it will do a syntax check of your Terraform modules, whatever, or Terraform resources, whatever you have taken. Now the third thing is apply. What apply will do? All the steps, whatever written in your Terraform module or the resources, whatever you are trying to do, whether you are creating the resources, you are attaching the resources, detaching the resources, whatever it is, what are the steps you have written in your TF file, that will be applied, that will be executed, right? So what I'm going to do, these things, and destroy means the resource. If you want to destroy, sorry. Okay, destroy means if you want to destroy some resources, and again, when I'm talking about resources, it is not necessarily it should be a VM. It should be a network, it should be a VPC, it should be, it can be anything. It should destroy the resource which you want to remove from the cloud or from your infrastructure. Right? Now, let me run it. So already I have run. So let us run those commands also. Oh. What is this missing? Okay. Okay, so it is already initialized. Okay, sorry, it is not initialized because I have to run. So why it is, what is it? There is no directory configuration files are not there. So what I have to do? I have to go to the folder where my TF file is available. cd dot cd. Okay, so let me go GCP. If you see my credentials.sh JSON file, I have all the details whichever is required for my project to execute. Okay, so what I'll do, I'll run the Terraform init command. Yes. Now let me use see. This is the problem. It is showing some credentials, some issues there in the credential. It was working. I don't know what happened to this. Let me take the new credential which I have written now. Okay, BI. Let me check something here. Let me change this path. I have Jenkins path. Okay. So basically, in your main.tf file, you have to give where is your credential file is available. Invalid path parameter file. No file exists. It is showing no file exists. It is not exist. Oh. Sorry. The naming. See, this is the mistake which I have done here. Okay. Now let me run it. Let's see. Yeah. So Terraform plan, it will tell you, what are the things you are, what it is going to happen. It is going to go to the central zone. It is going to read the mode. Everything it will give. You have to check whether everything is going as expected or not. Right. Now, what you have to do? Let me run Terraform apply. See, this is one tricky thing here. You have to give yes. Right. Now, see, this is one file is already, instance is already exist. So let me, I think we have changed it. Okay. So let me change this one. Let's assume I'm talking about -1. Okay. It is creating the instance. It will take some time, but one thing, suppose this is asking for yes, right? So you have to make sure, see, you should not give some values on the fly. You see what are the one resources added. Just go through this log. It is similar the way we used to do in Ansible, right? It will tell how many resources have changed or how many commands have changed and all. It's the same way what exactly, how many types or what are the things are getting changed, it will tell you. Now, if I'm going to the, VMs, you should get one VM called Terraform 1. Yeah, if you see, it has created another VM called as Terraform 1. So this is the typical way. The only tricky part is now what you can do, same thing you can run through your Jenkins also. So what you can do, you can keep all the scripts and all in your GitHub and you can do a build. That's what I was trying to do it. So what I was trying to do basically, I have created one repo. So, but while doing it, integrating the Jenkins will be getting a lot of issues. Okay. So what you have to do first, it won't recognize the, what you can say. If you see my first, whatever I have built, what is the error message it was saying? It is saying Terraform command does not found. There is no Terraform command. What is the issue? Any idea, guys?
You have to
What
add
I
a
have done
plugin.
basically, I have added plugin is there.
Okay, in that configuration section, you have to provide that particular version which is being used.
If you remember 2 days before we were discussing, right? So when we were running the Docker command, it is also not recognizing the Docker command. It is not recognizing Docker is not command not found. So basically what we have to do here, you have to make sure you have to tell the Terraform or Jenkins bus, here is my path. So latter part, what I have done basically, I have given, again, you should have proper permission to see the job. Yes, you have to install the plugin, but yeah, that is not all the time. You have to give exactly where your Terraform is there, and you can give the credentials also. Then directly you can pass the credentials. Now, what I did basically, I have created one repo. Okay, in this repo, I have kept everything related to my files. So no need to. So whenever you want to create any VMs and all, so this is the mandate I have given. I have given here is my configuration file. Even if I have, see, I'm not doing it here because I have executing there itself, and also I can give it here. But maybe this is one reason why it was not working. Okay, so let us. I'll check it later. But you should not give the credentials.json file credentials in your GitHub in your repo, because repo is visible to everybody. So to avoid this, what people they are doing, they are using Hasika Vault. So this vault will be changing all the time. So you can, these security features, in extra security features given by, you can talk about Hasika Vault, you can talk about Ansible Vault. So all these people has given how to, if you talk about AWS secrets are there, right? So it will be the secrets are changing on the part. Okay, so and it will be taking directly from there instead of hard coding the value. So what I'm doing, I'm basically doing the same thing. I have come to Chetan. So I have given this version, and this Terraform version also, once you install the plugin, what you can do, see, concept was again same. You go to your manage Jenkins, okay, then go to your plugin, you have to install first, go to global tool configuration, you have to install the plugin. If you see, there are two different ways you can do again. Go to Terraform installation, either this is where I have given, but make sure this path, if you're giving the local installation directory, make sure that Jenkins user have permission available, or else what you can do, you can go with a directly installer, which installer you want to go with. Okay, but make sure that Jenkins user has admin access to that. Okay, so this is another way you can run your Jenkins job and all in your Terraform. You can integrate the source code management system. You can create any pipeline. Now, when it is coming to these commands, basically we talk about these commands, Terraform apply, Terraform destroy. These commands also you can pass as a parameter. So this command directly you can, what you can do, whatever you want to do, you can give this as a parameter. So whatever you want to do, make it parameter. Let's assume I'm going to add a choice parameter. So I can add these values. Is that? Oh. Let's assume I'm going to give command. I'm going to give command. So this command I'll give this one as all this, maybe I can give init. Whatever I want to do, I can do it here. Okay. So these things, and I can give the parameter and I can change these values. Instead of giving all these values, what I can do in a single line. This is what I'm talking about. You have to give, when I'm running this script here, I am giving a value. It is asking me to enter, say yes or no. But if you're doing automation, this is already created, because of that it is giving, no need to do anything. So it is asking to yes or no, right? Let me do one thing. Let me change this file, because this is one thing which I want to tell. Let's assume I'm going to change the VM name. Instead of 2, I'll just 11. Just give it 11. It is asking yes or no, right? So when you are going or doing automation, obviously it won't ask you to do it, right? So what you do, you have to here at the end just pass this value auto approve. So it won't ask you anything. Okay, so it will go and directly create your VM, whatever it is required, or as per the configuration, it will go and directly create. It won't ask. So this is one thing which you have to take care when you are creating a VM or you doing automation through your CI server or continuous integration server, right? So in this case, what I have to do basically, here I'll just pass something called as command. So rest of the things, maybe this auto approve, I'm not sure whether it is going to work there or not. You can just do it also. So no need to have multi. So directly you can run it. So when you are going to build it, so build with parameter, what you want to do. Let's assume I'm going to give apply, auto approve. So what it will do, it will take that value, it will try to execute it. It will take that value, it is failing, I know. So these commands and all will be executed, because I am just trying to do something. It's some, again, this issue, if you see whatever I was facing, it is facing some issue with the permission set. So means the problem is I am running through a Jenkins user, but all these things permissions are, it is showing some API permissions are available. So basically, whenever I'm running these credentials, basically I'm giving the credentials or the service account, whatever I have created, that service account through Jenkins, it is not running. It is giving some issue. So these issues we need to resolve. So I was working with one guy who was working Azure with Terraform. So he was using Azure pipeline. So exactly whatever I'm doing in Jenkins, same thing he was doing in Azure DevOps. So he has given one created YAML file, what are the stages he want to do it, and he was calling the Terraform module, and it is going to the Azure console, and it used to create the videos. So maybe next session what we'll do, one two things we missed again. Integration which is not working, because as I said, I was not feeling well, I could not have to do much work. So if it's possible, we'll be doing in the next session completely integration Jenkins, as well as Azure has its own continuous, Google Cloud has its own continuous integration server, that is called AWS Cloud Build, GCP Cloud Build, which will be integrating, and we'll be using some Docker concept. Instead of using the installer, we can go directly in the Terraform Docker image. That will be doing maybe in the next session. Yep. Okay, that's all from my side. Any questions, please? Guys, any questions? Okay, if no questions, please, I hope you people are already, what you can say, Google form to get the recordings. And if you have any questions and all, you can go through the WhatsApp message, WhatsApp group which we have created. You can have your questions there. I should be able to answer those questions. Okay, then have a good day for in US and good night for in India.
Yeah.
Bye bye.
Thank you, Chaitanya.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jatin.